Hey, this is Jeff with Eternity Shore, and this is another edition of Amateur Maintenance. Today we're going to be replacing the bilge pump in the engine room that failed on our way down to Solomon's when we had a split hose craziness in our port side engine and water was coming in. That was when we realized the bilge wasn't working, bilge pump. So I'll put a link in the description for that video there. This one is just to try to replace the old bilge pump with a new bilge pump. This is the guy that failed. That was here for a while. You can see there's a lot of water in the bilge still from this, and so I am replacing it today. I'm replacing this with a Roommate model RM1100B. This is 1100 gallons per hour like the previous one. It is an automatic pump. It comes with 3 wires, so there's a positive. This is not unlike the bilge pumps I use in the gray water tank. So we're going to have 3 wires here, and one is going to be the ground black, one is going to be the positive brown, and then the third one, the brown white one, is to should go to the helm so that you can switch it on when need be, bypassing the automatic. I believe one of those wires for the brown white is going to be one of these gray ones from the automatic float switch, and here this should be fairly straightforward. Black is ground, brown there is the positive. So that should be straightforward. Here the question is, which one of those 2 identical gray wires would go to the automatic bypass? So I'm not sure how to figure that out. These are both 1 inch and 1/16. So they line up well in terms of the hose, which honestly is a piece of crap down there. That plastic hose down there, the black one. Black is the hose. We do have a lot of wires to deal with here. They're kind of in the way, but at the very least we can start to do this. Now I gotta disconnect the battery because this is connected right to the battery, so you don't want to just turn off your DC at the panel and assume you're good. In fact, the DC is off, and you'll notice that's still on because one of these things is directly connected to the battery. Now, which of the batteries? Yeah, this is the deep cycle battery. So this should be the house battery. Disconnected positive and negative of the house battery. And now, let's see, there's nothing coming there. Okay, so this is crazy, but I have the positive hooked up, the negative hooked up, and then the brown white, which is supposed to go to the switch up front. I had to choose between 2 gray wires, and I picked one of them. When I go up front to turn this on at the helm, it goes on. It's only in manual mode right now, and not auto. Okay, after checking with ChatGPT, what we think is going on here is that this old gray wire that was going to the float switch was the one that's fused and powered. So I'm guessing what happened was 2 gray wires came into the float switch, and then the bilge itself was powered by the float, which meant that this is where the fuse was, one of the gray ones, and this positive black wire only was on when this float was engaged, which is why when I take the old positive wire, I need to attach that wire to the manual override, because this was actually the the positive wire to the pump here was actually connected to the switch up at the helm. That's what I think is happening here, because right now this works automatically and it works when you plug it in. So now the fun part comes where I gotta put all this stuff together and then submerge the pump, and hopefully we will see it work. So I'll do these one at a time. I am going to need my butt connectors, my heat stuff, to connect all this and then figure out where this wants to live. So in the meantime, I'm gonna disconnect the battery again so I don't hurt myself. This one's gonna be cut off and capped. Okay. Now, before we go ahead and put that all together, let's just double check it. We've got to reconnect the battery again. Okay, I just checked that all that worked. Now we got to heat these up, and then we got to remember to cap this to get rid of this. I'll start with this guy here. And then we gotta cap this other one. We gotta put this down and not burn anything. Actually, we could probably cut it right down here and then not have to cap it because it's already kind of capped. Well, this is kind of a mess down there. There's a screw down there where the float switch used to be. There's the box right there that contained the old pump, and then there's a hose right there that's supposed to go to the pump. So the pump needs to be there. All right, I don't have the wires wrapped up yet, but I have the hose on. Let me rearrange the wires together and then fill it with water, see if it'll pump. That's not low enough in the bilge. Alright, finally kicked on by itself when I filled with water. Let's see where it goes to in terms of the line. That's the line where it takes you down. I'm going to measure how many inches of water that is. Alright, that's about 2 inches of water down there, which is almost back to the transom. And where the pump is forward here. It kind of sits even on an elevated area. But where the pump is, it takes it back down to about 1/2 inch of water, which is fair. It's just I don't like where the pump is, because constantly to have 2 inches of water in your bilge, unless you pump it out, is not ideal. So in the end, it's hooked up correctly. It's really just the positioning of it. So I could cut some of that hose there and then scoot the whole unit back. I don't know how much that's really going to gain. There is a little dip right there, but then the bilge pump will be kind of inaccessible. So I'll let you guys comment. What do you think? Is this acceptable. 1/2 inch of water here, 2 inches of water there. Now I know you're going to say you shouldn't have any water in your bilge, but it happens. So any thoughts on what I just did? Did not plan to shoot a video on placing a bilge pump, but we had to do so. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, give us a comment. Ciao.